Hello and welcome. I'm going to take a second to share real quick. Hello and welcome. I'm going to take a second to share real quick. Right. Welcome. So I will not be live on Tuesday and Thursday this week as I am embarking on a new adventure. So I'm moving a little over 1,900 miles across the country, and so looking forward to being back into the mountains. So, but I will be live on Sunday to do chapter 9 of the Spiral Dance. So it will just be a week of being without me. And there we are. There's Bren. Welcome.
Okay. What chapter are we on now?
We're on chapter 8 now.
And what's the theme of this chapter?
This is the Cone of Power.
The tone of power?
Cone.
Oh, I'm like the tome of power.
Yeah,
I don't
no
have a
cone.
tome of power. I don't have a book of shadows. I've never had one, honestly. To be completely honest, just because my brain, it just. I mean, this is also one of the I would have to say advantages of having I guess being on the spectrum. It's like when you learn something that you're really interested in, it's like your whole ability to open up and retain the information just goes and catches it.
Catches it. Yeah. I used to be better. I will be honest, the older I've gotten, the harder it is for me to retain things. And I don't know if it means I have like way too much in my head. Like, I don't know. But I have kind of a book of shadows. I have like notebooks all over the place. So which has been fun because my husband's like, "Why do you need this notebook?" I'm like, "Oh, no, it's got spells in it."
Yeah, don't throw that one away. But it looks like just any other notebook. Oh, you don't know what you're doing.
That's why he kind of was like, "I'm just gonna leave her alone. I'm not even gonna fight with this one." Yes, as a matter of fact, my trolls are gone. They're not hanging behind me anymore. So
I was going to say, oh, are they under the bridge now?
yeah. They are. They're under the bridge. No, they're unfortunately in a box. So I know I didn't want to put them in there. I'm like, I'm sorry, babies. And I have like 8 trolls, but they're really fun. Maybe what I'll do is when I'm in my new house, I'll like show everybody all the new trolls. Granted, we'll be in a small, very, very small apartment until we get into a house, but all good. Welcome, Azriel.
Hello, good evening. How are you? I'm,
Good.
I'm trying to get my headphones. Hey, Brent, how's it going? Hello, Rowan.
Another day of existence.
There you go. uh, another day, another spiritual dollar.
Yes. Um, Crazy fun, but and I'm like, I actually had a nap, so I packed and I'm almost done packing. So, all right, we'll get started. Okay, so we are doing Spiral Dance. We are on chapter 8, and chapter 8 is the Cone of Power. And so this is really like how we create energy. And when we do rituals, we should be like enhancing the energy when we can. I know it's like really hard online. Like when I do online rituals, it is kind of hard to do, but like in person, there's lots of really fun stuff you can do to enhance that. But yes, the cone of power that's part of what it is. So I'm gonna just kind of start because the first question I'm just going to actually read my thing. So she talks about the primary principle of magic is connection. I said cone, C-O-N-E. Yeah. It's okay. Bren thought I said something completely different. So I'm trying to
Like
enunciate.
a amplifying tome. An amplifying book.
Cone. There we go. Yeah. I'm like, I can't even remember what Bren thought I said. Yes, but this is cone. So in it, Starhawk talks about the principle of magic being connection and emphasizes that the universe is interconnected and energy patterns are interconnected. So it's the same thing when we work with crystals, how we can feel their energy, or when like I'm harvesting my herbs, I can feel the energy from my herbs too. And when I work with my magical herbs. So let's just talk a bit about your thoughts on the interconnectedness of the energy in the universe. So Bren, I'll let you go first, and then Azriel.
Well, let's see here. How, because this takes it all the way back to the theme of the procedure, well, not really the procedure, the law of correspondence, and how certain things resonate to another. But now here's another twist onto that. You can have one individual, say for an example, when they see Saturn, they think of something that's all about just being something that restricts, challenges, and is rather insensitive. Then you have somebody on the other side see that Saturn is the right-hand man. He's the one that cares about you the most, and he's the one that is the most reliable. So now you have two polar, completely different sides of something, and then that brings it all the way back down to the individual level on how they connect with it. So and even another example, you can have, like for example with lavender, you can have somebody see lavender and think of it as a really calming, easygoing kind of a plant. Then you have another one that sees it as a really woozy-woo kind of a plant that makes you go, oh, isn't this just woozy? So it all depends on just how one person connects to it. Like for example, you can even take a look at it like for a specific crystal. Somebody would see, well, when they see rose quartz, they think, oh, that's like the Kardashian stone. Everybody knows rose quartz. But then when somebody else sees it, they see it as something that's the most precious thing they've ever encountered. So it all really depends. Well, and then there's also the perspective of like a generalized stance with something. So you can have a generalized stance of like saying, for an example, oleander and how toxic it is. That's something that's like uniformal, and that's something that can't be really negotiated. But how somebody's able to connect with oleander, because there's one perspective that says if you plant oleander near your home, it makes bad luck. But then there's my perspective that sees oleander and it's used as a means of like not only providing a sense of protection around like a love working, but it's also providing that area of beauty, but it doesn't let anything come in or go out. Because oleander, when you come into contact with it, oh.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it's one we have to be careful with. But it is beautiful. Completely beautiful. All right, Azriel, you ready?
So I'm ready, and I like the analogy that Bren just added. You know, I'm gonna put it maybe in my interpretation, but it makes a lot of sense because the way he stated it is the way that I see it. It's all about resonance, and basically, everything in all is interconnected. Let's say like phone lines, like phone lines. So, um, hypothetically, let's say I'm gonna make a phone call to my mother. This is the way that it works. I'm a direct connection to my mother, but I'm gonna give you and Bren my mother's phone number, and you guys can try to call her. But because she don't recognize your phone number, um, she might not answer, or somebody else might pick it up, or you might have to leave a voice message before she gets to you. So when we're direct connection, like Brent stated, it's all about our resonance with it, understanding it, and once we understand it, this interconnected, it allows us to have like a direct connection. Definitely, so it's like recognizing how everything is interconnected, is accepting it and allowing that we don't build what is called a bridge or a boundary that I have a poor connection, so I see it here. So basically the interconnectors allows us, once we understand how everything works, how everything is connected, we can directly manifest the things that we want a lot more easier versus us trying to figure out our way. If that makes any sense, I try to put it in a way where, we our interconnectedness is a direct aspect to the intention. In other words, we can go within and know that we are connected, so it's doable. But yet, when we give that so and so, like, no, it's not possible, we might be able to receive our intention, but it's not going to be the way that we want to, and it's going to take a whole lot longer. A whole lot longer. If that makes any sense. I'm not sure if I explained that.
No, no, it makes total sense. Um, but yes, I love both your guys' perspective. It's so nice. But yeah, there is an interconnectedness, and I guess like until we're ready to open up to it, because I know like at one point in my life, I was like, oh, but when it comes, and it comes with force. And yes, we are. I love how Bren brought up, we're all going to feel the energy differently because we will. I've had people tell me that, they feel like a certain stone one way and I feel it a different way. And also, like, just like we're individuals, everything in the universe is also an individual and our experiences will be different. Like my experience with Azrael is different than my experience with Bren, and Bren's experience with Azrael is probably different than my experience with Azrael. So it's like our everything is different, and because we're all unique and we all have like this amazing energy. So
And it makes sense, Roman. It's like, let's say we go and find a box of citrine stones. Just for example, we don't grab the first one. We're actually filling them out, which is the one that resonates with us, and that's what we do. So basically, that's that resonance. That connection.
yes, yes, and I do the same thing when I go to nurseries to get plants for spring or my garden. I do the same thing. There can be like 10 lavender plants and there's like a specific one that wants to come home with me. So, because we put off an energy too. And so it's just like some people put off an energy that we may like or not like, and other people will have an opposite view of it. But some, and will be attracted. But people who, tend to put off a really high frequency energy, that's full of love and compassion and happiness, most of us are pretty attracted to it. Versus, like Debbie Downer from Saturday Night Live, right? She's the one where it's like, you can come around, just don't open your mouth. So, all right, we're going to move to, okay. So here we go. How does energy in the context of magic affect individuals and communities?
Well, it well, the best way to put it is that that's really up to how. Well, because now this goes one of two ways. It depends on how. Well, for one, how the person is outputting it, and if they're being so hyper delicate, on point, and focused with what they're outputting. Then at the same time, though, if you can have somebody have precise intention, but then when it's being sent outward, it can make somebody, like say if somebody's doing a healing working, then like to help somebody become more at peace with like some kind of challenge that they're going through. When they do that working, it could be on point, precise, but now the person who's enduring the hardship or what have you, now they're getting hit in the face with it double instead. And that's also why whenever working gets done, it should also, again, primarily most of the time, of course, be consensual and inform the individual before you do any working to help them how they need to start by changing their mindset, changing on how they perceive things, or to do certain things to help that energy that gets pushed out to be able to receive it easier. Because if you have somebody doing working for somebody and that other person is in a down state, they can't even comprehend what to do. Okay, you have all this beneficial energy coming towards them, but it goes and rebounds off of them, and it doesn't help because they don't know how to receive it. So it's like when you're outputting the energy, if you're going to be doing some work involving many people, it's good to at least make it known to them that this is how you can receive it to make it more effective and more beneficial than just throwing it blindly. Will it work if you throw it blindly? It can. Will it though? No, not you, and I'm not them.
Yeah, that's a good point. I know, like, I've had clients where I'm actually in person doing Reiki energy healing on, and they they're not ready. Like, they want to heal, but they don't. And if they're not ready to heal, it really isn't worth doing it. Like, if that makes, just like Bren was saying, if you're not ready to receive it, you're not there. It's all the time. I have even people who will take classes from me. I was teaching a chakra class about how we can balance our chakras. And I had a couple students that they're like, I could tell they're just right. They're almost there, but they're just not quite ready to heal themselves. So I think that's really good that you brought that up, Bren. All right, Azrael, do you need me to repeat the question?
Yes, please. Yes, please.
How does energy in the context of magic affect individuals and communities?
Hmm. Oh wow. um. Wow. For some reason, it's like I got a brain fart. Um. Basically, if I'm understanding correctly, it's like a community ritual will be like, for example, like you stated with working on somebody with the Reiki, or like Brent said, depending on where the individual's mindset is. Let's just say I'm going to work on somebody, hypothetically, let's say Reiki. Okay, and then I have my client or the individual I'm working with. The individual is focused on worried about what I'm going to do and how I'm going to do it and what they're going to expect. And me working on them, it's actually going to sidetrack, and it's not going to work clear because they have to put faith, not a faith, but in trusting that the Reiki master or the teacher is actually going to perform something that is going to benefit them. But if their mindset is like, oh, I can't close my eyes. Oh, what should I be doing now? Should I be doing this and that? And their mindset is not focused on the healing itself, but focused on other stuff that doesn't resonate. And this is let's say meditation. Every focus on where we're going to go with the meditation versus listening to my intention. It's not work. In the concept of it, we have anticipating on so we have intent and we want to go versus
We're kind of losing you. Oh, oh, I thought you were back.
yes, I'm in a bad area. Well,
I know.
it's remember it rained today, and I think there's a
Yes.
lot of
Was
energy, especially in the evening right now. Yes, especially over here in the back end. So the amplified, like Brent thought earlier when we said, I think he said tone. Yeah, the tone was going to be amplified, and I think this weapon. So is that the correct aspects of it? Like a healer, and then
there's
the individual, like
there's really no right and wrong. It's just your guys' opinion. I mean, I'll go into what Starhawk said, but in a quick summary, Starhawk literally said energy is ecstasy. Think about that for a second. Like, I know when I get a good positive energy, like it's like you feel like you're walking on sunshine, like that old song, "Walking on Sunshine."
And every time when I hear that song, it makes me think of that one movie, Little Miss Sunshine. Oh, gosh.
Oh, I saw that once.
Yeah, and the one part that I could not get out of my head is, why the heck do you have Grandpa in a casket in the back of the?
I haven't seen that forever. See, now I'm going to have to go. We talk about
That's National Lampoon. National Lampoon. Walking on the sun. You know the National Lampoon with Chevy Chase and the family. They're going to go vacation, and they had I think it was grandma or grandpa, right, Bren, in a coffin in the back of the truck.
I think so. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I was going to say, I don't remember that in Little Miss Sunshine. Little Miss Sunshine, I thought was the girl that the family was entering for a pageant. I don't know. I could be wrong. So, because some movies, if I only see them once, they really don't, obviously didn't resonate with me. If I make it all the way through. So Starhawk talked about how energy is ecstasy. So I thought that was like really interesting. And she talks about, like how our energy pulsates through us. So I know like a lot of times I'll do exercises where like everybody grabs, and I think you've been there, Azrael, where we grab wrists and we literally churn and it raises energy, or we can actually chant and raise energy. And it's really amazing when the energy rises. And that's what the cone of power is. That really is kind of the core of this chapter. But a good energy can cleanse and renew us and purify us, and it makes us feel good. As groups, whether it's a small group, like right now we have Bren, Azrael, and I, so that would be kind of a small group, or a larger group, we can raise it, and that energy can cause change. And that's the same thing when we're doing healing, or, like there's Reiki shares where groups of people will share Reiki. And those are amazing. If you're ready for those and you go to those, the energy is just out there, because it's just, you just feel this a beautiful healing energy, and it's amazing.
Okay, so I misinterpreted your question. I'm going to have to switch my headphones, but now I see what you were meaning about the context about energy within the group. It's like, let's say, us three are sitting down in a circle, a healing circle, and then we have somebody in the center, which is playing some drums. That's going to actually elevate all our energy. We're going to feel a lot more in tune with one another, and whatever we're going to manifest and actually put our intentions to it, we actually have the belief a lot more amplified. So yes, okay, now it makes sense. Yeah, I misinterpreted it exactly, but yes,
Oh,
it's
totally fine, because there's no right or wrong answer. It's just
you
my
know,
opinion.
and that's when they say, the power of many is very strong. So when we put a lot of individuals together and we all believe in one thing, that it could be possible, we can actually bring that energy so high that it actually becomes a lot more effective.
Yes. Yes, yes, yes. All right. Okay. So the cone of power um is a principle discussed in paganism and witchcraft in the occult. And so it is a cone, and if you've ever seen a cone, and do I have a piece of paper? See, I have like nothing because everything's packed. I have a notepad here. Hang on. I want to make a cone so everybody can know that I'm saying cone, not something weird. If I can get the notepad. There we go. All right. All right. We'll see how well I do here. Rolling and trying to make a cone. Okay, that didn't work very good. Okay, there we go. All right. Okay, it's a pathetic one, but it should go out a little further on the top and be a little tighter on the bottom. So a cone of power. So with a cone of power, it's the raising of the energy within the circle of the practitioner, so we can direct it towards a certain goal or a certain desire. And we can do this as a group. We can also do it individually. And keep in mind, I think a lot of people who do practice the craft and any type of occult, I think there's still the majority of people still practice and are solitary practitioners. And there's no right or wrong. So you don't have to necessarily be in a coven to be able to practice or in an organization. So the cone of power is literally like raising that energy to make the shift. And that's really what we're doing when we're doing spells, when we're letting go, like if we're doing a cord cutting or if we're bringing good luck to ourselves, we're shifting something. So when we're trying to bring good luck to ourselves, we're shifting our bad luck to good luck. And we want to raise energy. So with that, in your personal thoughts, this is completely both your guys' opinion, what does the cone of power represent in your personal practice, your personal spiritual practice?
Well, I will. Well, it's kind of interesting because the way that whenever I do my workings at all, I don't really tend to use any kind of symbolic way of like identifying it, if that makes sense. I instead just take everything that resonates to the result that I'm trying to have come about, and then I just interweave everything all together. So it's really just like it's like you're getting your pigeons, your ducklings, your chickadees, and I'm not sure, and your one eagle, all in formation, and then that's such a weird way of putting it. But you're getting all these correspondences into like their own line and whatever, and now it's like you're orchestrating like a flying work of art that, like for example, like some birds are just like pigeons are just going in a certain direction, and then you have the ducklings going in a certain direction, then you have the doves going in a certain direction, and the whole intent of the working was to have like this show of birds that do like these crazy maneuvers in the sky, but them working together because they have that intention direction is kind of like the route that I was going with. It doesn't really follow like the code procedure, but it has like that structure of like this is going to do this is going to amplify this is going to give segue into this, and then all of this segues going into a focus and having the end result. Bit of a really wonky donkey way of doing it, but that's how I go about it.
Yeah, and actually I like while you were talking about the bird analogy, I was thinking about it like, the birds usually always, and it really doesn't matter what species of bird you're talking about, when they fly in their groups, they almost look like they're in a cone, a triangle shape when they're flying.
That's right. Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow.
Like, what a great representation of the cone of power. Like, that's
Unplanned. Wow.
putting that energy right there as a group. That's why I love this, Brent, because like we always like all of a sudden like these ideas pop in, but as you were saying that, I was like, oh my gosh, they're literally flying in like a cone shape. They're like making that energy within the air, with the element of the air. They're bringing that energy to life. How cool. All right, Azrael.
Agree. I like that idea, and I was never thinking about it. But now that you put that vision into my thoughts, now it makes a lot more sense. I don't know if you're a sci-fi fan in Star Wars. Remember the Death Star, and then the lasers all come together, and they're coming from different angles, and they shoot, and the power. So it's like when we're doing, I conjure the spirits of the Eastward Road, and we conjure, all the elements. So when we're in that element and we're within that circle, we're calling on all the elements to come together for that manifestation. So it becomes that power. So it in other words, the intention is amplified by, like those birds, is all the elements come together in one point. And because the connection is like the ingredients. And with that, just like those birds, they're putting their fate on that cone because all their energy is focused on that cone. Wherever that is directed is where they're going. So I definitely believe that the cone is like the cornucopia. You ever seen a cornucopia where, it's sit down and you got apples and fruits
and all different. I'm trying to think here, grapes and so forth and so forth. So it's almost like the pyramid of food and so forth and so forth. So the higher the peak is where the most of the energy is dedicated to. Actually, all the energy is dedicated to it. So that cone becomes the source. It becomes that one power. Like here. Like if you look at the screen, you got Brent on top of me. I'm in the bottom. You're over here. But yet, if you look at that very very corner of us three connection, the main power, the focus of this amplified is going right in the smack middle because that's like the border of all of us. But yet our elementals are all right here in that energy. So yeah, we're being broadcasted very strong, and that's how the cone represents.
Yeah. Oh, I love that example of the cornucopia too. Now I'm going to be starting to think of more, but yeah, it like literally it just takes all the energy from out and points it in. And so Starhawk in the book, she does discuss like we have to center our energy on what it is. And when we don't, um, like that's when our spells don't go well. That's when, our rituals don't go well. If we're like worried about like our checkbook, or we're worried about a bill we didn't pay, or, oh, did I turn the stove off? Um, we need to be concentrating on, okay, I'm here, I'm in the present moment, and this is important to me, and I need to direct my energy to this specific goal or this specific desire, just like the cornucopia, like, or the birds, the birds are going in one direction, but yeah, how awesome. Okay. So, all right. What role does grounding play in magical work, and how can we achieve grounding?
Well, probably the easiest way to get grounding. Get some patchouli, put up your nose. No, I'm just kidding.
I hope it doesn't burn.
Yeah, if not patchouli, fine. Get some vetiver instead. In a way, I mean, I like to see patchouli. I mean, patchouli and vetiver, I see them kind of like pretty much the same thing, except patchouli is more of the aphrodisiac, woozy wooey of the two, and vetiver is more about really going into earth and really going down deep because of how deep the roots are. But with grounding, there's again many ways to go about it. You can easily, well, again, grab something physical, or being able to, again, even putting your bare footsie on the ground, in the dirt or in the rocks, and feel the earth below you. And usually, like when you say, "Oh, I don't like walking outside in my bare feet," well, that's because there might be a lot of tension built in you, and you're not being used to the purity of the earth. Maybe that might be a sign you got to keep your footsies on the ground more. Because when you expose your feet to like the earth terrain, all those sensations become activated in your feet. And we all know that the soles of the foot have a lot of connections to everything above.
Yes, they do.
And that's why foot massages, when done correctly, it removes a lot of stress.
I like that analogy. And actually, as you were saying that, I'm like, somebody doesn't like walking barefoot. But I'm sure there are some people who don't. Azriel, do you need me to repeat the question?
No, no, I got it. But I agree. There's a lot of people that are OCD. They don't like to touch dirt or have the floor. The feelings of it. A lot of people are very sensitive with it. But this is one of the most crucial things, and we always talk about it. Grounding is allowing ourselves, like Brent said, be able to connect with nature. And if we can't ground the floor. If we can't hug the floor, we can always hug a tree. And a tree alone, is above, so below. The tree is rooted into the ground, and we can actually hold the tree. If that is something that individuals don't want to touch the floor with their feet. But it's allowing ourselves, even utilizing natural stuff, natural earth things like salt. We can use salt and actually sit down on the floor and have hold salt in your hand, and if your feet are not barefooted, even the salt in your hand becomes that ground earth, the earth element. But that patchouli, it's funny that I like patchouli, but there's a bunch of people that don't like that smell. I don't know if you guys ever bumped into those individuals that don't like patchouli, and it's one of the most pleasant ones and most recognizable incense. But yes, um, so it's anything with nature. Even you don't even have to put it on the grass. You can actually sit down next to a stream. Like if there's a stream of water, you can put your feet in the water itself too. That is earth, and you can ground yourself by allowing yourself to sit by the river or a stream of water and soak your feet into it. And that is actually one way that we can ground because it's nature. And it's beautiful. You want to make me run outside and start running around barefooted right now.
As you were saying that, I remembered like we went to, it was the first time my husband's ever been to the Pacific Ocean, but like last October we were there in San Francisco at a beach in San Francisco. And I love like just the ocean waves hitting and then like feeling your feet sink into the sand. Like it's just the neatest thing. Like I don't know why I love it so much, but I do. And there's a lot of lakes that happens at too. I mean, you can do it at Lake Michigan here. Lake Michigan is pretty sandy when the waves hit too, so your feet get really sunk in there. So yeah, thanks for bringing that one up.
Lively water, no stagnant water, please.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Stagnant water would be yeah. We don't want the stagnant. Then you might find like mosquito larvae in there or something. So yeah, so grounding actually can stabilize us before we raise our energy, but it can also stabilize us after. Um, I've been to rituals where energy's gotten so high that you actually do feel drained afterwards. And they're beautiful, but it's like, oh my gosh, like wow. So yes, grounding is like really important. Personally, I find it very comforting. I mean, today actually was right before it started raining here. I was walking around outside barefoot for a little bit. I needed like a little break. So I was like, all right, shoes off. I'm walking around barefoot for a minute. But yeah, that's something very easy. And yes, you can, trees are very great. And, if you like to garden and you're like, I don't want to take my feet off, but I don't mind if my hands get dirty, then like mess with your plants. I know in the wintertime, one thing I do, well, especially here in Chicago, you can't really walk around outside. And I mean, you can, but like, you don't want to have bare feet outside. You'll get frostbite. So in the wintertime, that's when I start to plant like some of my fruits or vegetables that I might be taking outside when spring comes, or sometimes even I just put dirt in a pot and play with the dirt just because it is grounding. So, all right. Okay. All right. I know you both are going to be really good with this question. Describe the relationship between magic and nature. She discusses this in the book. She talks about the natural law and the natural process and how we can tap into energy in nature. So, what are your thoughts on the relationship between magic and nature?
Well, the natural order is something that, well, if you don't understand the natural order, well, your magic ain't gonna do much of anything, because the natural order it starts from the developing, then it goes into birth, then it comes into being, then it grows and becomes more into getting to that point of adulthood, up until it gets to the highest point, and it slowly decays and it goes back down. Then it comes back up again. It's like a sound wave or an energy wave. It goes up, and even heck is even shown like in the stock market. Goes down, then it goes back up. Down, back up. So wherever you look, the cycle of just existence, it follows that same procedure. Comes up, then it goes all the way as high as it can, then it goes down, then it goes back up, down, back up. And if you're able to really just stay in the flow of that, so for an example, I think probably the best example I can come up with is like, say, if you're wanting to do a magical working like involving you and your significant other. Say, for example, you're going just fine, and then we have a conflict go down, but then instead of it going with the idea of like, crap, well, I need to heal them, I need to make them see what they're doing. No, instead, take that downward of it, and then go with it and just ride with the downward, and now transform it into something better to have it go backward up. So, for an example, say there's a fight because of just how you handle something, doing a magical working to take that aspect of yourself that's causing the hindrance and telling it to kick the bucket or have it be transmuted into something else instead. So you're still following that natural cycle of something having to end, but then when something ends, something new has to come back in its place to go back up. And when you go with that flow, you'll be quite surprised about how it's like doing a dance. If the flow is going to the left, roll with it, and then just move to the left. But now you got to come back with the right, flow to the right. Now she'll pull you back. Yeah, just don't step on the toesies.
Yes. Azriel?
Here, like Brent said, and in nature, I just want to show you something. It's like Brent does astrology. It's understanding like nature has benefits, natural benefits. Like me, what I do is something like this, like my essential book, in the essential book, yeah, the oils, because each oil comes from natural product. I mean, the natural plants, natural things. So each one of them has their benefits. And understanding and knowing that everything has energy, even the planets, the astrology, and nature. The trees, the willow trees, the oak trees. Each tree has a specific benefit as far as the energy. Even magical mushrooms. Knowing the mushrooms, they all have specific what do you call it? Benefits. And energy. These benefits are the energy that they all represent with. So when you're working with nature and everything around, it's knowing that each thing, each element, whether it's herbal or astrological, let me say the right word, astrological, each of these is having your awareness and knowing the representation of the energy that they hold will give you the ability to connect to what your intentions are, because we're talking magic, we're talking intentions and so forth when we're working with this. So if I'm making intentions, I need to have the awareness to be able to work with whatever element that I want to deal with. And when I say deal with, what is my intention? What am I seeking for and achieving? So whether it's me taking a walk in nature like we were just talking about, and my shoes off my feet, I'm already being grounded. So I'm already calling the energy of Gaia, and Gaia is in tune with me because I'm appreciating wildlife. I'm appreciating the air that we're breathing. I'm appreciating the moonlight, sunlight, depending on what day and night is. So it's knowing that each of these natural elements around me are releasing natural energy. And this natural energy can be harnessed, and when I say harness, is utilized and integrated to our energy. And with that, we can actually be able to manifest and create that. But it's having awareness. It's knowing, like, Petulia that we talked about earlier, and what benefits we can gain from it. Because each thing has magical benefits, not only health wise, some is good for us. We can use it as medicinal teas and herbs and stuff like that, but some you can't. And that's the thing about it. Having the awareness is know what you can consume, but yet what not to consume, but also what herbs and natural things around you we could utilize. We were talking about, remember those weeds that we found in the cemetery on Clark Street in Addison in Chicago?
Yeah, the
Those,
poke leads. Hmm.
yeah, knowing the benefits in spirituality, how we can utilize them. Are these things that we're going to use to break spells? And so forth and so forth. So it's understanding nature. Everything around us has energy, but yet that energy could be utilized when we combine it with our intentions.
Yeah, so beautiful. Both of you guys have so much insight. I love it. Um, yeah, what I love also, like everything, even when we're doing a ritual, we're doing a cycle, just like the cycle, astrological cycles, and just like the seasonal cycles. Everything is a cycle in nature. And that's like tapping into both energy, and it is an unlimited source of energy when we think about it. And it's like these beautiful, like it goes through the whole process of growth, blooming, harvesting, and then hibernation, and then it starts all over again. Sorry, I was trying to think of like what word I could use, and actually hibernation works perfect. So then we don't have to say the plant's unalive. They hibernate, because that's literally what they're doing. They're hibernating for the winter. They're going dormant. And that's what we're doing when we're calming down our energy from our spell casting, from our spells, from our rituals. So, all right. Okay. Oh, this is so important. So, what are the implications of the laws of ecology when it's related to magical practices? And I think like this is important because we only have one Earth, and we need to make sure that this Earth is going to be around for our descendants. So, Bren,
Read the question one more time. I want to make sure I caught it correctly.
what are the implications of the laws of ecology as they relate to magical practices?
Well, the other best way to put it is that if you're not using what nature is giving you, you're going to have to rely heavily on synthetic and man-made. And while yes, the magic can still work with man-made, but it doesn't have life to it. It's like having a robot do magic working, beep, bop, boop, manifested. Yeah, you got the manifestation, but it's like hollow. And the only real thing that I can say, if you're using mainly synthetic and man-made material for your workings, most of the time, usually, because man has created something and now man's using it to make something else, it may have that potential of corruption attached to it. It has that potential. Will it always have that? No, but it has to be handled very gingerly and very carefully.
Yes, yes. Actually, I do agree. I've used synthetic fragrances before when I make magical oils, and I really don't like doing it. The energy is just completely different, and it probably also depends on who made it. Were they frustrated when they made it? Like, then the frustration's going to go into it, where nature, I don't know, like when you're working with essential oils straight up, they're usually not frustrated plants.
And I agree, and I can vouch for that because you know what, as I think about it, I work with recipes, not only in the spell books and stuff, but cooking, cooking directions, and sometimes let's hypothetically say we're working with herbs, and it says what you have to work with some oregano, and oh, I have no fresh oregano, I have no oregano handy, I can substitute it with thyme. And thyme is almost like oregano, but it's really not the same properties. And the same scenario, like Brent said, with the essential oils. That's why I got this reference book because, I make my own. I know, and I'm aware of that. And in my profession, because I do pest management, we work with natural products. But there's also some products that are made by corporates like Bayer, Aspirin, 3M, and these are they're using byproducts of aspirins and stuff like that to become pesticide to unalive. So sometimes, with these, if you don't have the awareness of the essentials, when I say essential is handy, when you have it handy in your hand and you were able to work with it and grow it, like here, I could grow bay leaves like crazy. Not bay leaves, no, yeah, well, we could grow peppermint, but I like to grow parsley. Parsley, I love making parsley and various. But you know what? All year round, I just can't do it. Unfortunately, I can't. So I could create stuff like this. Hold on a second. Dry stuff like dry up and use them like 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 this. So I got thyme. I got oregano here. So I could put all these little things and dry them together, but in the same thing as a cleanser. And basically we can dry some stuff when we can't maintain it fresh, but then there's other stuff that we have to be aware when we substitute stuff that we're not substituting with something that has a different property. And that's an example. Like I mentioned. I remember it because it's like, no way. How in the world is oregano and thyme similar but yet not similar, and that's the thing about it. So it's understanding what you're working with, having the awareness. And I think something also that was mentioned earlier, by Brent, is that sometimes you don't have to work with everything. It's creating that key within yourself, like the Hecate key, or many keys that you can have, where you can use your index finger, and the index finger represents all the ingredients and everything. Because remember, when we're working with these energies, we also keep them within us, which is the residuals. So we do have residual within ourselves. I hate to say this, but when individuals are intimate, we carry that residual of those individuals that we had intimate connections with. Same thing with these energies. If I'm hugging a tree, although the tree is no longer present to me, I still hold that residual within me. So when we're talking about, earlier the cone and this right here, it's understanding that sometimes we don't really need to go out there and find the elements, because we have the elements within ourselves, because the key factor was that awareness. We must remember that if we work with it, we're aware of it, and we can understand the magical, what do you call it, benefits of it. And it's pretty cool. These are things that we rarely talk about here in communities like this. And thank you for the opportunity, allowing me and Brent to share, Rowan.
Yeah, yeah. It's always great when I love doing these panels. You got me addicted, Azrael. So, yeah, I think it's so important. And I know, like, I saw a comment, Candace made a comment about the pharmaceuticals. And, when we are using synthetics, like, it does stuff to us that's not healthy. And, like, I think about, like, a lot of our foods, at least here in the United States, are not very safe for us. Especially, like, so many people have celiac, and that is because stuff's being put in our food. And so we do need to, like, natural is better. Like, if we can grow our own, it is better. And it's better for our environment. It's better for our bodies. It's better for everybody around us. And it actually is going to give us better energy too. So helps us with our cone of power. All right, Bren, do you want to add anything else?
Other than just with the synthetics, be very ginger with it. That's all.
Yeah, yeah, you want to be really careful with them. Definitely, I agree. Um,
I agree also, because I used to, before I started putting roses and stuff in my bath water, I used to use essential oils. So I was soaking the essential oils, and you rinse off, but yet you got oils on your back and they're burning you. And the synthetics would do that, because it causes, no, it does, it causes fire. It burns, because, like Brent said, there's side effects to these things. They're not natural, so they don't wash off as easily, and you can keep them again as a residual, which could be a bad residual. Because remember, we can work with oils like olive oil, but let's say we're working with an oil like a palm oil or something, oils that we're not supposed to work with. Human is not supposed to ingest specific oils, and some of these essential oils that are bought over the counter could contain some of this stuff. Especially stuff that's coming from foreign lands. Across the oceans, and the environments are not that the greatest. It's like example here. I'm going to put it here, and I know you guys are aware. Some of the incense that, if you buy these incense, they're actually urinated on, and that's the truth.
yeah, yeah. Okay. Um, yes, it is true. Unfortunately, I know I have found that out, and I was like, oh, I hope none of them I've had. And granted, I mean, I guess it works for them, but we probably don't really want it. Sorry. Now I guess I'm getting tired. So, yeah. So essential oils, you do need to be careful. You definitely need to make sure it's with a carrier oil, because like I've only been burned from cinnamon essential oil, and it is really strong. So now when I do cinnamon, I put gloves on. And I'd been working with cinnamon for years when I actually spilled it on my hand and burned myself. But I was trying to put it I was trying to get my pipette, a pipette, to put it in a little jar, and yeah, got it all over my hand. So yeah, you do want to be careful. I love to actually take my dried like chamomile, my dried roses, and mix that with Epsom salt, and then I soak in that. So that's really fun. And the salt is actually really good for our body too, especially if your skin gets dry. I know, like, I don't know, crazy weather here in Chicago. One day I'm fine and hydrated, and the next day I'm dry. So I never know. So those are all the questions for chapter 8 on the Cone of Power that I have. Bren, anything else you want to add on raising energy and power in magic?
Not that I can think of. Just figure out what works for you and roll with it.
Yeah. Azrael, anything you want to add on energy and power?
Yeah, it is, before an individual chooses to spread the energy, make sure that you have sufficient energy. In other words, you found it within yourself to be able to balance it. Even when you spread it out, you might exhaust more than you actually should. And have awareness of where you stand. Like you stated, make sure you are hydrated, make sure you are rested, and so forth and so forth. Just like anything, when we're manifesting and working, we when I say working with magic, we are utilizing tools, and these tools, whether they're physical muscles or mental muscles, it can exhaust us. So make sure you have limits, and always stay grounded, and remember your boundaries as well. Your limits.
Yes. Thank you, Azrael. So we have chapter 9 next week. So Tuesday, which is usually Tuesday Tarot, and Thursday is usually our spiritual panel, Bren is going to be hosting on his channel, because I will be making my trek across the United States. So very excited for my move. So I'll probably do some lives, because I am literally going to be across the street from a state park. So I'm very, very excited. Way up in the mountains. So, but with that said, I will be here next Sunday. We will be doing chapter 9 of Spiral Dance, and chapter 9 is trance. So we're going to be talking about trance work. Yay! This is really fun.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Yeah. So Bren and Azrael, have fun, like, getting ready for next week. And then with that, with that in mind, there are 5 chapters left in this book. So we should, I think there's like 5 Sundays in August. So that means our first Sunday in September, we will be doing, drum roll, Bren's book on Nyx. And I'm so excited for that. Yes. So
Yes. I told you about my newest one, right?
yes.
Oh yeah, the newest one. Let me see. Do I have? I have to see if I have the background for it. I hope I do.
So either background, that's fine.
See if I can get this thing to behave.
We are very excited to do Bren's book. So, so if you have not ordered it, you've only got 5 weeks to order it. It does take 5 days. They print them for you.
Yeah, you might have to play Tetris with me a little bit in order to show the whole thing. But yeah, that's the next one.
Yeah, let me see if I can figure out how to make it out. One day I'll figure it out. Like, really,
I think if you just click on me and then expand. Oh, there we go.
Oh, okay, I did it. Don't ask me how.
And this one follows kind of the similar theme to the next book. In fact, like all the other books, it always starts with the references. And except with Jezebel for this one, what I did, I then added in like dissecting like where she's mentioned and taking it from where she's being deemed a stereotypical evil individual and trying to salvage the dignified parts of her. And then it follows the same procedure as all the other books. And yes, it does have a bibliography page in the back. It does have that too.
It's just going to be similar to the ones on Nick's. Are they going to be the black background?
Yes, it's going to be. It's the book. Well, this book, the cover, yeah, but it does have like the same. The interior coloration is like the same thing, but it's just like different coloration. And the backing is not all black. Now it's just like the coloration of the book. Yep. And especially like what I called it, the Maven Queen of Cons. I can't even pronounce it, but I mean, yeah, I use a thesaurus in order to make something sound a lot more stronger than just, yeah.
Yes. So so that book, is it out yet or almost?
Yep, it's released.
Okay, so that's his new book. But yes, we'll be reading Nyx, that was your last book, right?
Yep.
Yes. So we're very excited about that. Nyx will only be for 2 weeks. So I'll host, but we'll let Bren lead the discussion. So it'll be really fun. So make sure you pick up your book. To pick up your book, just make sure you're following Bren. Go to his bio, and he's got a link tree there. Hit the link tree, and it will take you right to the books. It was so super easy. Like, if I can do it, anybody can do it.
Yep, you just click, click, click. There you go.
Yep. Yes, and it does. And they print it to order. So they print it as you order. So, and it does say it takes 5 days. It did take 5 days. I got it very quickly. I was really impressed. So, and it's beautiful. So we're excited to do that in September. So I know, like next week will be August, so we're more than halfway through this year. Woo!
Yeah.
So, all right. So now we'll have our goodbyes, and I will see everybody on Sunday. But please do not miss Bren on Tuesday. So, Bren, do you have anything grand to say? Farewell.
So long, farewell, toodaloo to the home in the Illinois area. Toodaloo, so long, I-O-B-O, we go to I-O-M-ing.
Thank you, Bren. Yes, actually, next time I'm live, I'll be in Wyoming. How fun will that be? All right, Azriel, any last words?
Yeah, but it's not my words. It's words of a famous president, Theodore Roosevelt. Believe you can, and you're halfway there.
There you go. I love it. I love it.
I was going to say, I speak soft, I speak loud and carry a big stick.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. Again, next week, I'll be back with Spiral Dance Chapter 9. We'll be talking about trance work. So very, very exciting stuff. And I will be joining you from a new place. I probably won't even have my tapestry up. So it'll literally be new. And actually, maybe I'll go outside. Maybe I'll just sit outside because I will be in a different time zone and the sun will still be up. So, all right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you so much for the gifts. Always appreciated, never expected. Thank you so much, everybody who gave hearts. I really appreciate that. As always, merry meet, merry part, bright blessings, and namaste.